Waves plugins are fairly affordable, they sound great, and there's a Waves plugin for pretty much any situation, which is why I reach for them quite often. And in this video, I'm going to look at 7 Waves plugins that I use in every project. Plus, I have some notable ones near the end that I may not use in every project, but I do use quite often. I'm Zane, welcome to Audio Tech TV. I've included links down in the description to each of these plugins so you can easily check them out for yourself. And right now, let's look at the first plugin on the list, which is the Waves REQ or Renaissance EQ. So this isn't the coolest looking plugin or anything, it's just an EQ, but it's a great sounding EQ. You can see it has up to 6 bands. You have mono or stereo versions of this plugin, and it's extremely easy to dial in. The user interface is just so simple and easy to use. You can click here on whatever band you want to change, and you can use the dials, or you could drag these around if you want. And it also has a really nice real-time frequency analyzer. So let's have a look at that. But you can purchase this on its own, or it also comes in the gold bundle plus a bunch of other bundles. But I highly recommend the gold bundle if you're just getting into Waves plugins. It's a great starting point, and it includes pretty much everything that you'll need. Now let's look at a situation where I use the Waves Renaissance EQ all the time, which is on my guitar bus. So let's start this with it off, and then I'll enable it. You can hear it's a little muddy when the EQ is off, but then when you engage the EQ, it kind of brightens things up and takes away those muddy sections. Plus, there is another plugin that I always use in conjunction with this, and we're going to get into that a little later. So it's going to change the sound even more. But next, let's look at a compressor plugin. This is the CLA76, which is actually based on 2 1176 hardware compressors that are owned by Chris Lord-Alge. Now, I'm a big fan of 1176 compressors. I actually have a hardware compressor that's kind of like this plugin. It's based on Chris Lord-Alge's Bluey, but this one also has the Blackie version. So you have Bluey and Blackie in here, and they both have a different sound character to them. Now, why do I use the plugin if I have the hardware compressor? Well, that's because I only have one hardware compressor, and this can do stereo. I can put it all over the mix if I want. As you can see in this project here, I have one here, here, here. I have them all over the place in the mix. And one of the things I really like about 1176 compressors is they're really easy to dial in and use. Plus, this one can give you a nice sort of analog flavor to it. You can get the CLA76 on its own, or in the CLA Classic Compressors bundle. It's also available in the Horizon bundle, which is an incredible bundle. If you get it, you're going to have absolutely everything you want and more. But let's just quickly check this out on a vocal track. Again, I'm going to start it off so you can hear the vocal with it off.
Friday night and you're mad at me again. If you were the queen of hearts, I'd be off with my head off. Friday night and you're mad at me again. If you were the queen of hearts, I'd be off with my head, oh yeah.
It smooths it out, it adds a little bit of an analog sound. The next plugin that I use all the time in every mix is the SSL E-Channel Strip. This is based on the Solid State Logic 4000 series channel strip. And this is another plugin that I'll use all over my mix. Even if it's just to get the console sound onto that track, I'll use it. So sometimes it gets used on every track in my mix. You can see I even have it on the mix bus right here. You've got a great filter section here. You have a dynamic section. You can turn the analog sound on and off if you want. You can turn the EQ section on and off, or the dynamics on and off. You can buy this plugin on its own, or it's also included in the SSL 4000 series collection, or in the Studio Classics bundle, which has some other great effects in there as well. So I'm going to actually show you two instances where I use it all the time, and it's on the drum overheads and the room mic. So I'm just going to disable both of these and we'll start playing it, and then I'll enable them and you can hear the difference. It just really livens up that drum sound. And like I said, I use this all over my mixes. It's everywhere in here, just even to get that console sound in there, which is pretty cool. Now, another Waves plugin that I use in every single project is the DBX 160. And I use this all the time on my kick drum. You can see I have it right there, but you can use it in other spots too. I know it's popular to use this on drums, but you can see there's presets in here for other things like lead vocals. This can actually sound great on vocals, rhythm guitar. It's a simple compressor plugin, but it can sound great all over your mix. And I do use it in other places, but where I use it every single time in every mix is on my kick drum. So let's just listen to the drums, and I'm going to start it with this off. And just listen for the kick drum here. You can get this one on its own, or you have to go up to the Mercury bundle if you want it bundled with other plugins. And if you do get that Mercury bundle, you're going to have pretty much everything that Waves makes. And here's another Waves EQ that I use in every single project. This is the API 550A. And with this plugin, you actually get the 550A and the 550B. And the 550B gives you more EQ centers to work with, but I've always just really liked the 550A. It's the one that I've used and I'm kind of used to, so it is the one that I use all the time. It's so easy to use. You have your 3 knobs here, but there's actually 6 because there's an outside knob and there's this inside knob here. And the outside knob controls the amount of the frequency that you either want to add or take away. And then the inside blue knob here controls the frequency that you want to set it at. So you can see each one has 5 frequencies that you can select from, and it can go from -12 to +12 for each frequency that you choose. And now let's just listen to this on our guitar track that we were listening to earlier. So I'm going to start with it off. It just really brightens up that guitar track, and let's put it in the mix so you can hear it on and off in the mix because it really helps the guitar to cut through there.
Friday night and you're mad at me again. If you were the queen of hearts, I'd be off with my head, oh yeah. I don't know what I said, I don't know what I did, but you think I should be bowing to your feet.
You can hear it really helps that guitar to cut through in the mix, and I love the way it sounds on electric guitar, but I've actually been using this on drums lately and even vocals as well. And I think I sometimes use it on acoustic guitars. Now, the next Waves plugin that I use in every mix is another API plugin, and this is the API 2500 compressor. It's a very versatile compressor, and in addition to your typical compression settings, you also have some cooler stuff in here like this thrust mode here. Now, I don't think I mentioned it on the last API plugin, but you can buy these on their own, each one individually, or you can also get them in the API collection bundle, which includes other API plugins, or you can go with the Studio Classics bundle, which includes these and the SSLs, some great plugins in there. Now, let's check out where I'll use this. One place I use it all the time is on a guitar parallel, which helps the guitar to really cut through in the mix. And this is a trick that I learned from David Nazi over on his channel, Mixbus TV. If you don't follow his channel, definitely do. He has some great videos over there, and he's actually a lot of fun to watch as well. He just tells it like it is. Now, let's just check it out here on the guitar parallel. So I'm actually just going to turn the guitar parallel off altogether, and then I'll enable it so you can hear this enabled in there. Now let's just unsolo those and we'll listen to it all together in the mix here. And you can hear when that parallel is off and this compressor isn't working, the guitar is fairly thin, but when you add that channel in there and this compressor, it really brings out some of the growl of that electric guitar and helps it to cut through in the mix. All right, so we're at number 7 on the list, but like I said earlier, there are more plugins after this because they're ones I use all the time, just maybe not in every single project. But number 7 on the list is the Waves J37 tape saturation plugin. So where I use this all the time is on my Mixbus. This is a great tape saturation. It's based on the actual Abbey Road J37 tape machine that's being used on hundreds or thousands of hit songs. And you can also use this as a delay effect or some modulation effect as well. But I always use it on my Mixbus as the last plugin just to add some tape saturation, smooth things out a bit, and add some warmth to the track. Now this one you can purchase on its own, or it's also available in the Abbey Road Collection bundle. Now let's just listen to it on our Mixbus here, and I'm going to start it again off and then I'll turn it on. So you can hear it just really excites things and kind of livens things up. It's pretty dull when that's not enabled. So that's why I use the J37 all the time. All right, so now we're beyond those 7 plugins I use all the time. And the next one that I use quite often, maybe not all the time, maybe I do use it all the time, but I do use it quite often. This is the Abbey Road Plates Reverb. It's a really nice reverb plugin. It has a great user interface that's easy to use down here. You have 4 different plate selections that you can choose from, and each one does sound different. You have a nice dry wet mix here, so if you want to use it on a bus, you can, or if you just want to mix it in as an insert, you can do that as well. You have pre-delay, drive to give it a little bit of warmth on there, and you also have this analog control to get some great analog goodness, and a little bit of an EQ section in here as well. I typically use this all the time on acoustic guitars. So if the song has acoustic guitars in it, I'll use it there. And I also use it quite a bit on vocals and even on drums as well. Unlike the last Abbey Road plugin, you can get this one on its own if you want, or you can buy it in the Abbey Road Collection bundle. So let's listen to it on our acoustic guitar here, and I'm going to start with it off. And I'm actually using this on a bus track. It's an acoustic reverb bus. So let's listen to it off. Now let's listen to it in the mix on and off. So you can hear it adds some nice space to the sound. Again, here it is. makes it sound like I was playing in a really nice room, but really I was just playing in my basement, so it doesn't have the greatest acoustics in here, but that really sounds nice. Now, another Waves plugin that I use quite often is the Manny Marroquin delay. And this one's actually kind of like 5 plugins in one. So you get your delay in here, you have a reverb, distortion, doubler, and phaser. Plus, you also have some high pass and low pass filters in there as well. And one of the things I really like is you can control the delay for the left and the right separately, so it gives a really cool effect that way. Now, this one is available on its own. You can also get it in the Manny Marroquin Signature Series bundle or in the Mercury bundle. And like I said, I often use this on my vocal track, so let's check it out there. You can see I have it on this Vocal Reverb Send. So this is a bus track. I'm just going to disable that. We'll start listening and then I'll enable it.
Gasoline running through her veins, motor oil soothing those piston rings, 8 under the hood and 4 on the floor, a tie ride, yeah, well, that's for sure.
It's a very nice delay plugin, and we could add distortion to that delay. And if we wanted, we could add some distortion to that delay, the phaser, and really mess around with this thing. It's just really a great plugin. Now, this next Waves plugin, you don't actually hear the plugin itself on the finished track, but the effect that it has while you're mixing, you hear all over the finished track, and it's the Waves NX Oceanville Nashville plugin. And what this is a virtual mix space. So if you're mixing in headphones, this plugin puts you into a virtual studio, actually the Oceanway Nashville studio, into their mix room. And this can help you to get more accurate mixes that are going to translate better across multiple devices. Now, this plugin can be purchased on its own, so we'll just quickly listen to what it sounds like when it's on, but you want to turn this thing off when you do your actual mix down, so you wouldn't really hear this anyway, but here's what it sounds like. So you can hear it just puts you into a mix room space, which is pretty neat. Now, another Waves Abbey Road plugin that I use quite often is the Real ADT plugin. Now, this one is based on the Abbey Road artificial double tracking process that was used quite a bit in the 60s. And I like to use this one on my backing vocals quite a bit. And depending on the project, I'll also use it on my lead vocals and sometimes on my lead guitar track as well. It's got this cool sort of retro user interface. It's pretty easy to dial in your sound, and it comes with a ton of presets as well to get you started. And like the other Waves Abbey Road plugins, you can buy this on its own, or it's also included in the Abbey Road Studio Collection. Now, let's check this out on a lead vocal track. So I actually have it sent to a vocal double bus. So I'm just going to mute that bus and we'll hear the vocal on its own, and then I'll enable it.
Night the stars followed us home, the trees drift by as we head down the road. Oh, my heart beating faster and faster, no one around, just us two. The dust blows up against the red taillight hue.
So this is a very cool plugin that you can definitely find a use for in some of your projects. Now check out 7 more Waves plugins that I love on vocals by clicking the video on the screen now. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. For Audio Tech TV, I'm Zane. Keep creating, and we'll talk soon.